And now we'll look at the conquest of the Americas. The Spanish were, of course, the first ones to make it into the New World. You had Christopher Columbus coming in and discovering the New World by accident. Christopher Columbus is actually not Spanish. He was born in Genoa, so he's Genoese in 1415. And what he was doing was looking for a Western route to the Indies. One of the things about Christopher Columbus is that he was very, very bad at math. He felt that he could make it to the East Indies by sailing west and eventually just hitting them, not knowing that there was an entire continent in the world in the way, and then mm, hundreds of miles of hundreds of miles of ocean afterwards. So he felt that he could, instead of going east to try to get to the West Indies, he could just go west. And so he did this, had this idea. And one of the things that I should note is that people knew that the world was round. People knew that if you kept sailing around, that you would eventually hit the West, the East Indies. And Columbus, felt like, oh, everyone else is wrong. The world is much, much smaller, and you can make it to the Indies just by going west. You just need a few boats, and you'll make it all the way, and you'll hit it, and we'll be rich. And so this is his goal, is to make it to the to East Asia by going west and eventually making it. And so in 1485, he begins his pursuit of backing. First, he goes to John II of Portugal, who says, "No, we're good. We are going out into Africa." And this is 2 years before they round the Cape of Good Hope. And so John II is good. He doesn't want to spend the money to go out and on this foolish quest. And then he goes to Genoa and Venice. He goes back to his home uh, and asks, for patronage to go. And he goes to Venice, and nobody wants to give him money. In 1486, he goes to Spain, and he begins to make acquaintances there. And really, here in 1486, Spain is on the cusp of defeating the the Moorish caliphate. They're pretty much just a few years away from completely retaking the Iberian Peninsula. And so he goes, and by 1492, he has secured backing. The final battles, I believe, are in April of 1492, and by August of 1492, he has secured backing from Ferdinand and Isabella. And Ferdinand and Isabella are really eager to give him money because he is pretty persistent. He is very charming, and the fact that Ferdinand and Isabella all of a sudden have all this cash that the Moors didn't take with them when they were defeated. And so they have extra money to spare, and so they give him three ships: the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, and they send him off. And in 1492, Columbus sails something, and he's actually going to land in San Salvador. The exact location of San Salvador is not known. What is known is that Columbus was very, very lucky in the fact that his crew was about to mutiny, but they ended up, giving him an extra day, and in that extra day is when they were able to find land, and they make it from the Canary Islands. They make it into the off the coast of Hispaniola, or what is now Haiti and the Dominican Republic and Cuba, and around there they begin to set up, basically. They begin to trade with the people of the Americas, and they begin to look at the people of the Americas. And Columbus actually says, these people would be great servants. They're very happy. They don't know anything about war. We could enslave them very easily and make them our servants. And so Columbus, pretty much from the get go, is is has this mindset of we're going to conquer these people, we're going to take these people over. Uh, Columbus feels that he's like, oh, I've hit the West Indies. These people are Indians. Calls them Indians, and that name has stuck from from then to this to this very day. And so from here, you have the Spanish coming into the New World, and we'll go much more into this uh, um, in class this week. But we will be looking at the Aztec Empire and the Inca Empire, going into much more detail about who these people were, what their cultures were like, and exactly what um, what the Spanish um, what the Spanish found when they made it to the Americas. What they found there were these great technological and engineering marvels. Here is the city of Tenochtitlan, which is now Mexico City, and it was connected by man-made bridges to a central island in the middle of a lake. And then in South America, the Incas built thousands of miles of 3,000 miles of road uh, through mountainous terrains, and some of those roads are still here to this day. You can still take them, and these are some of the marvels that were left behind. And like I said, we'll get more into it in class. Um, the conquest of the New World happens with Cortez in Mexico and Pizarro in South America. And one of the main reasons why people have posited that they were able to defeat these empires was the fact that the uh, Spanish brought these three main things: guns, germs, and steel. Guns, germs, and steel is a pretty simplified method, but it does pretty simplified explanation, but it does encompass a lot of the main features of conquest, namely the fact that guns were unknown in the Americas. There's guns, germs. Smallpox and other germs like mumps, measles, rubella, all of these things had not uh, made it to the Americas before this time. So basically, from the Stone Age all the way to 1492, smallpox and measles, mumps, all of these things that are very deadly, can spread through the air, had not spread to the Americas, and so the people of the Americas were not had no natural defense for these, and so they began to die off in even greater amounts than even the Black Death, the bubonic plague in the 1300s. One of the things that the people of North America, the colonists of North America, when they come in, they're going to find all of these. All this pristine land, all this empty land, and the reason they find this is because the people that had lived there are all dead. The smallpox made its way from Central and South America up throughout North America in the 100 years from when the Spanish get there to when the English get to North America. It spreads throughout the continent, and it has up to a 98% fatality rate among some of the people. And so the very first English colonists that are going to make it to the Americas are going to find a lot of this land that is quote unquote empty, and they're going to start taking it. And that's mainly because the civilizations that were there are have been decimated and even almost completely wiped out by disease. So that's guns, of course. Not gunpowder, as we talked about last week, was from Asia, and it made its way through to Europe through the Muslim empires. and the Americas had no gunpowder, and so they didn't have. It's amazing to think that in here in the Americas there were no guns, but that's exactly how it was. It was unknown to the people of the Americas. Uh, Smallpox, germs, and then steel, the weapons and the armor that the conquistadors had. And so these three things are some of the most important reasons why, but they're not the only reason. Another reason why was because the Aztecs made so many enemies, and we'll go much more into in depth in that in class. The reasons why the Spanish were able to conquer both the Aztecs and the Inca were because the Aztecs had conquered their enemies and were dealing with them harshly, and so the Spanish were able to ally with the enemies of the Aztecs, and basically use them as foot soldiers. You had in um, South America, you had the Incas were in the middle of a civil war when the Spanish came in, allied themselves with the strongest faction, and then betrayed that faction and took over. And then, of course, as we'll look more into class, there were no such thing as horses in the Americas, and the Spanish brought these amazing war horses that they were quite familiar with. And then, so this opens up this new era of world trade known as the Columbian Exchange. The Columbian Exchange is this trade of goods and disease between Europe and the Americas. And really, Europe gets some of the best of it. And this will definitely be a discussion point in class. The fact that tomatoes, potatoes, um, pumpkins, all vanilla were not known in Europe. Um, Before 1500, corn, tomatoes, all these different things were never seen in Europe before the 1500s. And so also you had, coffee never in the Americas, citrus fruits never, and sugar cane had to come to the Americas. And so you see this great exchange of goods, this great exchange of these items throughout. And the most striking one that you could see here is the fact that disease comes greatly from Europe. Smallpox, influenza, typhus, malaria, diphtheria, whooping cough, all these things that attack the human body with great efficiency were brought over by Europe. The one disease that makes it from the Americas to Europe is actually syphilis. Syphilis is picked up by Spanish conquistadors, later also Portuguese conquistadors as well, and brought over back to Europe. And so, with all this disease that comes into North America, you have this huge die off. And so, America's needed workers because of the mass death of natives. And the workers that they're going to bring in are actually African slaves.